Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? Welcome to Dave's Watch channel. I'm just walking around in Korea. I don't think anybody will know where this place is, but it's a satellite city outside Seoul. It's in Namyangju, and I think it's pretty typical of a city outside of Seoul. You can tell there's parking infrastructure is a lot to be desired. Cars all over the place, parking along the street. It's winter time, and I just got out from a bathhouse, a Korean bathhouse, and I have to say, it's quite liberating. Sitting around in the hot tub with a bunch of old naked Asian men letting it all hang loose. I guess I kind of fall into that category as well. There's nothing quite like it, when you're done and you take a walk out of winter time. It's really refreshing. So I don't know how this pertains to watches, but I guess in a sense I'm kind of done with watches. I love watches, but at the same time I've lost interest, and I don't know what other kind of content I can provide for watch enthusiasts. I'm just happy with my 5 pieces, and I don't really want to go through the trouble and effort to switch things up. It's just not worth it. I'm kind of content, and is this the end of my watch journey? I don't know, right? I think I don't really have much direction for this watch channel anymore. Before it was just showcasing different pieces I was able to acquire and own and review pieces when prices were still relatively affordable. But now, prices have come down, but it's still really high. I think Rolex, as much as I love Rolex, and Rolex is the best, right? Like, love it or hate it, you have to respect Rolex. If you're a serious watch collector, you gotta at least experience owning a sports Rolex. Right? There's no ifs, ands, and buts, and decide for yourself if you like it. Chances are you probably like it, and you probably own at least one piece. Keep one piece, but if not, okay, what's a good option? I do still look at prices of watches. I do still look for good value pieces. Of course, you have the Omega Speedmaster, but I still feel it's a little too expensive. I think a Speedmaster should be priced at, the secondary market, 3,500, 4,000 Canadian tops. I would be a buyer at 3,000 Canadian. When I started collecting, I could get them for 1,600 Canadian. Wouldn't be a full set. Those would be about 2,000 when I first started collecting. But now people are still asking for 6,000, which is way too much. Right? However, a watch that I've been keeping a close eye on is actually the IWC Mark 12. Now, those watches, you can get a full set, right? Box, papers, card. I've seen them on Chrono24. People asking for 7,000 Canadian, 6,005 Canadian. And I think that's a much better buy than even a Speedmaster. Sure, the IWC Mark 12 is doesn't quite have. The IWC Mark 12 doesn't quite stand up to the Speedmaster in terms of provenance and storytelling. But as a watch, it's extremely practical. It could be a one and done watch. It's really practical. The IWC Mark 12, 36 millimeter watch with a date function, so you could wear it as a dress watch. I believe it's water resistant to 50 or maybe even 100 meters. So you could go swimming with it. It comes on a steel mesh bracelet. And it's got an in-house JLC movement. Highly respectable, handmade, hand-finished movement by JLC. And it's quite an icon, the IWC Mark series. The IWC Mark 12, that is a watch I would recommend for for someone young getting into a hobby where that's interesting, that's not a Rolex, that's practical, well made, hand finished, and it looks a little vintagey too, right? It still has tritium, a tritium dial, tritium hands. So I think it's a great piece. I've seen some with like really creamy hour markers, creamy hands, creamy lume. Right, just make sure you get one where the hands and dial have not been replaced through a service, right? Make sure they kind of match up. And I think you can find those for about 6,000 or 7,000 Canadian, maybe, And I think those make for really good buying, really interesting. That's not a Rolex. And those are really beautiful pieces. Yeah, well, that's it for watches, Shit's been happening around the world, guys, Don't mean to get political, but here in Korea, a couple weeks ago, the president just called a martial law, and now he's in the process of getting impeached. Things are not stable politically here in Korea. And Canada, where where I reside and where I'm technically, legally, and politically from, shit's happening. I mean, that motherfucker Trudeau, he deserves it. Trudeau, he's smug Canadian, right? He really fucked things up big time. And to be fair, us Canadians, we really deserve it. This is a big pie in all our faces, right? We elected him in, right? And he really fucked things up. And now we got to deal with the consequences. Fucking Canadians, right? Always. The problem with Canadians, they got an identity crisis. They always want to differentiate themselves from Americans. They always want to be different and try to be better than one up the Americans, And I think Canada just got too involved with identity politics. I don't mean to get political, but our priority, or Trudeau's priority, was always about identity politics, right? The feminism, he's such You know, he's a feminist, right, with all your LGBT, gay rights stuff. You know, it's just crazy. You know, it's just so woke. You know, Canada is woke as fuck. It's probably the wokest of the woke. You know, I can't go into a grocery store without seeing rainbow flags waving left, right, and center. And man, I just want to buy some milk and eggs. You know, you know what's the worst thing about it? If you say anything about it, if you challenge anything that the Trudeau government proposes, or whatever their political agenda is, the war in Ukraine, right? Feminism, gay rights movement, LGBTQ, RS, whatever. You know, you question that, you're considered a fascist bigot. You know? So in a way, he's kind of silenced a lot of people, you know. And at the end of the day, these are marginalized people. And of course, right, we never want to compromise the well-being and dignity, and we don't want to beat down the marginalized people, but they're still a very small minority, and he expects the vast majority of people to cater towards a very small minority, and wants everybody to play some kind of woke justice hero, try to save the day and stand up for these marginalized groups. But you know, immigrants, right? His immigration policies, how many immigrants he's taken in, you know, it's crazy. Walking around Falls Creek in Vancouver, you hardly hear English anymore. You go sit in the SkyTrain, you don't hear English. You hear Spanish, you hear Chinese, you hear Indian, you hear everything else. You know? And I kind of feel for, well, I don't feel for, you know, but if I was a white guy in Canada, I'd be fucking pissed. You know, hi, doggy. Even a dog's pissed at Trudeau, right? And nothing against immigrants. I mean, I'm a fucking immigrant, you know, but we just took too many people in to try pump up this real estate bubble, right, to keep prices high, so that the elites and the government can still keep on living the way they live, you know, just spend, right? You bring in immigrants, you support the rental market, and people are forced to buy, people are forced to pay high prices, and you know, they took so many people in, international students, refugees, and they didn't really, you know, they didn't provide the proper accommodation for them. Right, so we got a lot of social issues in Canada. We got a lot of problems. A lot of people are pissed off. A lot of people are unhappy. But Trudeau, he's got to go. All right, this guy, he really should be thrown into jail. He should be jailed, Trudeau. You know. But us Canadians, right, we're, you know, there's a big pie in our faces. You know, there's no more. It doesn't mean much, right, to be Canadian anymore. And I spent a lot of time overseas, right? The reputation of coming from Canada and being from Canada, I don't say it with pride anymore, unfortunately. Right? It's really sad, but this is the honest truth. You know, we got so many problems with homelessness, and yet we still get, you know, we're still taking in so many people. There aren't many jobs to sustain the high prices. Right? Eating out in Vancouver is ridiculous. It's so expensive, and you just don't get what you pay for. It's unfortunately, I love Canada. There's a big part of I lived most of my life in Canada now. So I am Canadian, I do consider myself Canadian. And unfortunately, I think we've got some tough times ahead. Korea, same thing, Korea is not much better too. A lot of problems here in Korea too. Real estate prices are sky high. They got the lowest birth rate in the entire world. I took my baby out a couple days ago, and we were the only family with a young child in the subway station. We didn't see another infant. We hardly saw any kids. It was a weekday, sure, but we were in Gangnam. In Seoul, and there were just no kids at all. There are no babies. It's a rapidly aging society. And Singapore, my place of birth, well, that's the second, right? That's the second lowest country in terms of birth rate. What do these two countries have in common? Well, quite a lot actually. I guess that's why my wife and I kind of get along. Both countries plays a huge emphasis on education, and just really competitive. The cost of living is high. Both are very expensive cities to live in. And I think people my age, right, just burnt out, Both countries, the men have to serve in the military. We've got conscription, right? So the men have to serve 2 years in the army. And that causes a lot of friction between the gender. I think it's exceptionally bad in Korea, between a lot of women's rights. I think women are starting to stand up for themselves or whatever, but they're not really having children. I think they're just burnt out. They've been competing with one another since the age of, secondary school, I guess. Maybe since the age of 9 and 10, you gotta sit for exams and you gotta get streamed into the highest, I guess, when I say streaming, you want to, try to get into the best class, try to get into the best schools, and so that you can work, get a job at a big company kind of thing. So young people are just burnt out. I got one young daughter. She's so fucking cute, man. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Holy shit. How can... it's so difficult, right, to juggle work and to have kids. And I only have one baby, The replacement rate is 2.1, but having one baby, oh my God, it's not easy, It's tough. And you gotta put work on top of that, I don't know which comes first, work or family. I think that's the issue right there. Women are prioritizing work and career and their freedom, they're putting that on top of having kids, having family, having babies, and that's the problem these days. You know. So a bit of a rant. I don't know what this had to do with watches. Yeah, so I guess if you're a young guy, you know, do you want to work, make money, have a family? I'd say fuck it, I want to buy that Rolex Daytona instead, you know. Watches or kids? I don't know, that's a hard question, right? Hard question to answer, you know. If you're a young guy in your 20s, you got some money, you got a career going for you. I don't know, I hear dating is tough these days, you know. It's a minefield out there. Now with all your dating apps and stuff, you just get swipe. And just so everybody wants the best, and they swipe past the rest. You know, so I got a lot of friends who are single, and I think they'll stay single for male friends. I think they'll stay single for the foreseeable future. Oh wow, look at all these black guys. Gotta be careful here. Don't wanna fucking slip. Alright guys, I'm out. Thanks for watching. Bye.